I like to drive through the neighborhoods I used to live in and check in with my history. Most recently, uptown, the corner of 25th and Bryant, a stately duplex on a tree-lined block. The uptown house rarely calls me, but something was in my head this day, something small, furry, and insistent, chewing through the toilet paper tube of my consciousness, suckling at the suspended drip bottle of recollection, and running endlessly on the exercise wheel of my mind. Rewind 22 years. I was living in Stevens Court, money was tight, my little Amanda was 2 years old and just beginning to realize the concept of things. "Can I have that?" she'd say, pointing at the bike a child was riding through the park. "No," I'd say, "but you can ride on my shoulders." "You don't have anything I can pedal." Amanda was nobody's dummy. And so it went on that way for a time. At the dollar store, no. At the grocery store, no. It was a world of no, and she and I were both pretty sick of it. There was a pet store nearby, and browsing there was Amanda's favorite treat. One day, after a million no's in the pet store, she held up the funniest little animal that I ever saw, a Siberian husky hamster. Hand to God, it was just like a real Siberian husky, only in miniature form. 4 inches long. They were expensive. $50 a piece. Amanda held the squirming fuzzball to her lips and it kissed her. She laughed delightedly and she was powerless to resist from asking, "Can I have this little guy?" God help me. I had my rent money in my pocket in cash, and her eyes held such wild hope. "Yes." The look on her face, the sun itself never shone brighter. When I screw up, I like to screw up big. Make it count. I dropped $200 on 2 hamsters in the James J. Hill House of Hamster Tanks. I'd figure out what to tell the landlord later. Fast forward 6 months. Our fortunes had improved. We were moving into our stately duplex in Uptown. I had a handsome live-in boyfriend, comedy work, and a sense that things might work out. On moving day, as boxes and furniture were hauled in a steady stream into the house, a friend of mine lugged in the hamster tank. "Where should I put these guys?" I wanted them out of my daughter's reach until we got settled. The duplex boasted a formal dining room with a very wide plate rail close to the ceiling. I pointed to the corner of the plate rail and I said, "Put them up there." I didn't think they would fall. In fact, once they were up there, I didn't think about them at all. Fast forward 2 weeks. My boyfriend, Amanda, and I were enjoying breakfast in the dining room, and Amanda asked me, "Mommy, where are my hamsters?" My boyfriend and I choked, goggled at each other over our coffee mugs, but said nothing. She asked again, and I did the only thing I could think to do. I lied. I said, "Honey, remember when we moved in here? Your hamsters told me that they didn't want to move to a new place. They said that they would much rather go back to the pet store and be back with their cousins and their aunts and their brother and sister hamsters. So I took him back to the store. It took a while for her to speak, and when she did, she looked me in the eye and her voice quivered. She said, "Well, I guess I wish you would have told me." I said, "Oh, I'm sorry, honey, I should have," and she went, She let out a hot gasp and looked away, but not before I saw the look in her eye. Another look I'll never forget. She knew I was lying. My lie painted a Disney world of talking hamsters and watchful, all-seeing mothers that my daughter was already too wise to believe in. Like I said, she's nobody's dummy. I hustled her to the neighbors and paced the floor with my boyfriend. I said, "You do it. I can't look." My boyfriend dragged a chair over to the plate rail. His eyes widened in horror. He jumped down, covering his mouth in a gag. Because they weren't both dead. I shrieked, "Get it! Get it!" I was in a state. I mean, what was I going to do? Allow my baby to harbor a cannibal hamster? My boyfriend's eyes rolled in revulsion. He said, "Kill it, the thing is mad as hell. I'm not going to touch it." My mind was racing. I said, "Well, why don't you put the oven mitt on and grab it and throw it against the wall?" My boyfriend looked at me thunderstruck. You know, our relationship lasted for years after that moment, and to this day, I'm not sure why. Because at that moment, he knew the black depths of my heart. Shielding our hands with oven mitts, we took the tank off the rail. The rodent was furious, charging the walls in a palsied hamster slam dance. We carried the tank to the alley, tipped it over, and sprang back as fast as we could. It shot down the alley, ravenous for flesh. Free to this day in Uptown.